They tried to cancel Carrie Underwood because Carrie Underwood sang at the inauguration. Think of that. I mean, you had Ariana Grande throwing her all this shade. You had Joy Behar going on and on. Well, listen, somebody's got to cancel Joy Behar. Thank you very much. I mean, Disney, this woman is a liability along with Whoopi and a few others on there. But remember this.
I hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
I say.
I mean, right? It is country music. I think
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't do it, even though I can't sing.
You would not sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine.
No, you do what you do. Listen.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg, who must be in the middle of contract negotiations trying to save her tail because she suddenly says, it's okay, it's okay. Look, they were trying to cancel Carrie Underwood. And the next thing you knew, all of a sudden, there were contestants on American Idol and other producers that were like, we don't know if we can actually be on this show with Carrie Underwood as a judge because she clearly must love Trump because she sang at the inauguration. I mean, what a jerky thing to do. Again, I go back to this because it's a big deal what Travis Kelce is doing, just, saying, hey, just saying the obvious, right? This is an honor. It's a respectful thing to say. And they're going to be all over him. Just like they were all over Carrie Underwood. The respectful thing to do when you're asked to sing at the inauguration is to say yes. You know who got this? Kid Rock. He sang it at an inauguration for somebody he didn't vote for because guess what? He's an American first.
I was actually listening to your show a little bit before I got in the truck here, and I heard, Michelle Obama's not attending. I would kindly remind her that years back, when Obama was first elected, I did not vote for him. But they asked me to play the inauguration, and I played it, and I went. Had a good time. I went for out of respect to the presidency, so I would kindly remind Miss Michelle about that.
I forgot about that, and that's cool, because it's really not about the politics, it's about the office, and you got to respect it.
Boom! You've got to respect it, okay? So they are the ones that started this. Don't forget Maxine Waters with her "Not My President," AOC with "Not My President." Don't forget Jimmy Carter. He's not a legitimate president. He was put there by the Russians, which of course Hillary Clinton picked up on. We're going to have more on that in just a moment because that was all orchestrated. That was all deliberate. But here's a young woman that's going to be singing this weekend. I want to introduce you to somebody named Lauren Daigle. You may not know her. You may know her. I don't know. But you're going to know a lot about her very, very soon. This is Lauren Daigle, and she is probably the biggest deal Christian singer we have in America right now, okay? Just a wonderful, wonderful voice, beautiful girl, and she wasn't allowed to sing in New Orleans at a New Year's Eve Rockin' Eve thing, Dick Clark Productions thing, because the mayor thought she wasn't really representative because, you see, she was a Christian singer, and after she had done some Christian tour event, the mayor, that would be this lady, LaToya Cantrell, who's got all kinds of issues, including some that are very similar to, dare I say, Fannie Willis. More on that. Anyway, she canceled her from singing. She wrote a letter to the producers, reportedly of Dick Clark Productions, and said, no, you can't have this woman sing. So Lauren didn't get her opportunity, but guess what? She's going to be singing. She's from Lafayette, Louisiana. She's going to be singing in New Orleans this Sunday, America the Beautiful, and I'm so happy for her. And again, if you don't know her, you sure will. You will by Sunday. You know what, LaToya, you're going to have to eat your words here. Again, this is LaToya Cantrell, who is the mayor of New Orleans, who prevented Lauren from singing, but she's got all kinds of issues herself. Apparently, very similar to Fani Willis, a alleged relationship with her bodyguard that caused his divorce. But, anyway, I'll let her explain. It's just because she's a black woman of power, apparently. That's why they're going after her on this one.
As it relates to, I got this question before, but what I will say, as it relates to investigations, or targeting, all of that, as I've given it thought, when I came in, even being elected mayor, and even prior to that on the city council, I've been a center of countless investigations, right? And I have always complied, and that's what I'll continue to do. I do know that this seems to be kind of prevalent relative to black leadership, and I think that I'm not exempt from that. But relative to investigations, I've been in them, I've been through them, and I'll continue to comply however they come. That's all I have to say on that.
That's all she's gonna say, okay? She's had a few little run-ins, dare I say, allegedly paying some $30,000 of taxpayer monies for some round-trip tickets to Europe, first class. There was that, and then she was caught yelling and flipping the bird at riders on a parade float at Mardi Gras who turned their back on her. And they said, gosh, we've never seen a mayor behave like that. But yes, she's the one who was able to get Lauren canceled from a big engagement. This came up on a recent podcast. I want to play a clip from this show, the podcast from a producer, actually turned talent now over at Fox, Ray Arroyo.
Mayor came out and said, of you, that you placed residents in danger. And then she urged Dick Clark Productions. You were supposed to sing at the Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration from New Orleans. They bumped you off the roster. You weren't invited.
Yeah, I was definitely not invited. And I think from that letter, too, she quoted, she's a weapon to society. And I went home to Lafayette and I got in my parents' bed and I pulled the covers over my head. As an adult, I was like, oh gosh, here we are again. Because there's no amount of public ridicule that is fun. What I learned is that when people need an element of hope, coming together is one of the most beautiful things. It is one of the most incredible rights that we have in this country. It is. And I think to take that away from people is so disheartening, especially in a time like that.
Do you feel vindicated?
Yes.
5 years later, and here you are, about to open on one of the biggest stages in the world at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So to get this moment years later, I would say for anybody watching that has had their reputation smeared in any sort of way, and they are just waiting for the moment of vindication, sometimes it only takes 5 years.
It's terrific. I got chills. I really did. I got chills. I feel like I've been vindicated too, because you know what? I went out there in 2020, March of 2020, the market's tanking 2,000 points in a day, and Anderson Cooper's on CNN with the whole red thing going as though it's the missing plane. And they made that story into the missing plane. And I'm not taking away anything from how scary that was and awful that was. And look, I lost loved ones to COVID. And I also lost loved ones who did not go in and get their necessary checks that they should have gotten. My uncle, for example, who should have been in for a skin cancer check and something that could have been pretty routine, but wouldn't go because of COVID and everything was shut down. So, I think we've all had a horrible time with that. A lot of people lost their businesses, right? A lot of people lost their jobs, and we've been trying to climb back ever since. And one of the biggest frustrations I had throughout all of it was the lack of information, the inability to report the truth. And I want to talk about that coming up in just a moment because, look, the New York Times was getting some nearly $50 million so that, we wouldn't report the truth, right? They were just reporting what HHS wanted them to say and report. And the spigot's been turned off. And Elon has done that with Trump. And it's the right thing. Let's shed some sunlight on this, right? They say it's the best disinfectant. Because to think that we couldn't even report, and by the way, I knew in February of 2020 through sources that virus had come out of the Wuhan lab, okay? I knew that. People very much within the so-called deep state, Asian scholars, etc., they knew that. And when Donald Trump was asked about it in April, May of 2020, and he said, yeah, I've seen some intelligence that suggests it could have come out of the Wuhan lab. What do you know? Everybody went nuts. Mainstream media. He was canceled immediately. Like, immediately. Unbelievable. So, Lauren Daigle, I am so happy for you. I am so happy for anyone that has bounced back from that horrible time. And I'll tell you this, we can come together and we will come together. Because it's the right thing for us, it's the right thing for our children and our grandchildren, and we are going to make America great again. Whether they like it or not, it's happening, baby.